Welcome back, everybody. My name's Jake. This is Rocket's Return, and today I want to talk about how a lot of vendors are ruining this hobby for a lot of people. First and most importantly, this is not about all vendors. Not every vendor is a bad vendor. However, just like in most things, the bad ones stick out more than the good. The other day I went to a show. This was a couple weeks ago, and I haven't been back to one, mainly because I've been at work. But it was also, I had just taken a break from going to shows. So I was handling other things. I was putting my focus into other things. And I went to the show, and it was one of those shows you got to pay to get in, et cetera, et cetera. It was a bigger show. It was a cool show. It was nice. I had no problem with it. There were some cool vendors there, and there were some not so cool vendors there. And unfortunately, I got to experience one of the not so cool ones, and it was all because of his own ego. So when I went to the show, I walked up to this table, and it's two guys. They're friends. You could tell they were friends. They told me they were friends anyway. So they are sitting there, and the guy on the right looks at me, and he's like, "Hey, man, how are you? Thanks for coming up to the table. What are you looking for?" Like, he was super cool. He wasn't like cookie cutter, a cookie cutter vendor. But before I get too far into this video, if you happen to watch Henry's Poke Corner on this is kind of what sparked this. It made me realize that this is kind of a common thing. People need to say stuff about it. For real. If you watch one of my, I think it was 2 videos ago, I've got a video out about Jar Chomp and Oyama and how I'm not opposed to their course, like they're offering a service. However, that's different than treating people poorly. So, like, they're not really intertwined. So don't go and be like, "Oh, he supports that," because that's just not the case. Some of these vendors, though, they get comfortable and they kind of just start treating people like shit. It's really weird. Or they just like have zero actual care for the hobby, and they treat the people who are in the hobby like crap because they feel that they have something that the other person wants. We're going to talk about why that's a problem. Okay. Not even because they're treating people poorly, but why, like, the way they handle it is a problem. Okay. So I go to this other guy's table, and I'm sitting there and I'm talking to him. He's a really nice guy. I really wish I had gotten his info, because I would have very much enjoyed picking his brain on vending and stuff like that, because it is something that I would like to try eventually. However, as I was going, I ended up like picking out some stuff, and he's like, "Are you looking for stuff to grade or what?" And I was like, "Yeah, I am." And he was like, Awesome. Well, I've got this, and I've got this, and I've got this. And they were pretty high end things that I did not have the cash for on me at the time. As I'm looking, I'm like, "Actually, I was looking for this card, this card, this card, and this card, and you have like multiple copies of all of them. Can I see them?" And he was like, "Yeah, cool." So I looked through. I picked out I think I asked him to pull 4 out of the case. I picked out like 2 out of the 4, put the 2 back, and I bought them. I looked over and I saw this really nice e-reader hollow Crobat. I think it's from Aquapolis. Might be Expedition. It's one of the two. While I am looking, I'm like, "Hey, is this your case as well?" And he's like, "No, this is actually my friend's case." And his buddy's sitting there and he's helping another person. So I was just going to wait. I'm just sitting there quietly waiting for him to handle the other thing. And I look at the other guy and I go, he's like, "Do you want to see something?" I was like, "Yeah, I wanted to see the Crobat." And he was like, "Oh, I've had a lot of people look at that today." And I was like, "Well, it's a good looking card. And it's one of my favorite eras is e-reader." I was like, I didn't really respect it back then, but now I do. And like now, anytime I get a chance, whether it's English or Japanese, if it's clean, I jump on it. Like, I bought this one, graded it myself. I'll never understand how to grade an e-reader, but that's okay. This is a good looking card. I think the only reason this one did get a 9 is because it's got a little silvering around the edge. If it didn't have that, I think it would have gotten a 10. But it's okay. It's not a huge deal. I'm looking through and I'm talking to this guy, and I'm like, oh, okay. So I've got the card and I'm checking the condition. And, I'm that guy you see at the show with a light or whatever. Like a lot of people talk about Joe Jake wearing gloves. I carry a light and I throw it on just about everywhere. And if I see it, hey, it's got this. Can we market it at this? Like, is it near mint? Are you selling it at like Play? So he looks at me, he's like, oh, it's near mint. And I was like, okay, cool. And as I'm going over them, I pick through these things with a fine tooth comb. If I'm gonna pay anything over $200 on a card, I'm gonna pick through it like with a fine tooth comb. That's just what I do. Okay, I want something. If I'm going to pay for that, and that's what you're claiming that it's worth, whether it be market or whatever it may say, I'm going to dissect that and take a look and go, okay, yeah, you're right, good, okay, let's talk, or I don't think so. And this was a no, I don't think so. Not for any other reason other than when he purchased this card, he missed. There was a very, and I mean very, slight lift in the bottom left corner of the card. And I said, hey, can we market this at light play? It's got a little bit of whitening on the edge. It also has a lift in the bottom. And he says, no, it doesn't. Yeah, it does. Show me. So I flip it around. And at this point, I could tell he was a little irritated. Okay. And it went from being like trying to make a sale to trying to defend his own honor, I guess. Meanwhile, his friend's sitting next to me, talking with me, and he's like, oh yeah, I didn't see that. And the guy's kind of looking at him like, yeah. So I flip it around, I point at it, I just go, it's right there. And he goes, oh, yeah, it's nothing. If you don't buy it at this cost, I'm just going to press it and send it in myself. Okay, cool. He's like, are you interested? I was like, no, I'm good, thanks. And that was kind of the end of that interaction. And it wasn't that he didn't want to sell it. It was that when I pointed out something that he missed, instead of saying, oh yeah, man, dang, that sucks. Or like, hey man, I can't come off that price because I paid this much for it. I'd understood that. If you pay high by accident and you feel that you can't come down because you need to make you need to make your money back, and you've lost some already, I get that. You can refuse to sell it to me. That's cool. But it's when you follow up with frustration, anger, anything like that, just because you made a mistake and I caught it, when I'm not trying to be an ass. I'm just trying to show you, hey, I would put this at light play because it has this damage. Is that okay? No. Okay, cool. I'm out. So as I'm walking away, his friend is like, hey man, thanks so much for buying for me. I'm really sorry about that. And I'm like, no, it's okay. It's all good. It was a really good example of a great vendor and a guy who like can't get out of his own way to see that like we're all human. We're going to make mistakes. When I vend, I'll probably sell stuff for too cheap or too expensive at some point, and there'll be some clip that goes around about me on how my prices are, overdone or something like that. And or I'll have a bad day and I'll accidentally respond with the wrong answer or something like that. But like, we're human, we make mistakes. But it's really all about just treating others better, like especially the people that are buying from you. Like you're essentially you're in customer service and sales at this point. If you quit your job to be a vendor, you should probably learn how to be hospitable and a good person. Straight up. Because there's a lot of vendors out here that are just like money, 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 money. And that's all they can think about. So when you come to the table, they sit in their chair like this and they're kicked back and they're looking around. When you are looking at the cards, you kind of sitting there like, is this guy going to say anything to me? Anything at all? And you're just looking in the cases, and all they do is you look up at them and they're looking at you and they go, hey, like, don't get me wrong. The only thing worse than that is the cookie cutter vendor that's like, hey man, what's your favorite Pokemon? What you shopping for? Blah, 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 blah. And they like go through this spiel, and every person that comes up to their table, they go through the same thing. Who's your favorite Pokemon, man? What are you here for? Et cetera, et cetera. Just look at me and be like, hey man, how's it going? Thanks for coming up to my table like the other guy did. Yeah, man, you're welcome. Cool. Are you looking for anything specific? Cool. All right. Yeah, I don't have that. And if you know somebody who does, point them in that direction. Or if you know something that's like in that same line, oh, I don't have that one, but I do have this, this, and this. Like, it's all about customer service, and people don't want to seem to get that. It's like they think, oh, I get to work outside of corporate America, so I get to treat people like shit. No, you don't. There's so much. Here's the thing. I'm not anti-money in this hobby. There is a lot of people who are only money in this hobby, and it makes the hobby hard for everybody else. It also just makes everybody else, even the vendors who are not just about money, who are there for the hobby and the this and the that and all the good stuff, it makes them look bad. And it's a damn shame, because like there's some really cool vendors out there. If you look at some of the vendors that come out of my area or the surrounding area, Coop's Collection, Beard Dad Cards, Costello Cards. If you go into, I think he's from Jersey. He is. Yeah, he's from Jersey. Eric from Violet City. It's guys like these who've kind of created their own thing. And like, yeah, they all do something similar where they live stream their events. You want to know my favorite thing about that? I'm not a huge fan of the live stream kind of, like live rolling while you're doing it. I would want to go to a card show and focus strictly on the vending. I would have a tough time focusing on both. But my favorite thing about this is it keeps these guys straight up honest. Because if one slip, it doesn't go away. It's live streamed. Somebody's in there just clipping it. Boom. They treat somebody like crap. Boom. It's just how it is. It's different for these people with a camera. I'll be honest with you. As somebody as a show goer, if you have a camera, you should strap that thing to your chest, even if you don't turn it on, because it's going to make these people treat you a little bit better. Because at the end of the day, nobody wants to be caught on camera, be blasted on social media for being a piece of crap. So if you walk around with a camera and you go up to them, I bet you they're nice. I'm not saying all of them. I'm saying these vendors who are notorious for kind of being scum and being crappy, treating people like crap. They are going to treat you a little different, because they're going to think, hey, this guy could end up putting this on the internet and it would do horrible things. There's one guy out here I watch on YouTube. I'm a big fan of his channel, but I've never really I just came across him and subscribed. I believe it's Manno, Manno, TCG. He is a genuine, like, real vendor where he knows how to politely say no without being like, nah, get that out of here. Because there is a difference. Being a good vendor doesn't mean you buy everything, doesn't mean you sell everything. It means that you're fair and that you treat people well. And that's just what he does. It's one of my favorite things about watching him, is he's good to people. And then there's these people who clip farm children, which is really weird. Like, I get it. If you have a genuine interaction, like, for example, I think Coop kind of pioneered this movement where he would have genuine interactions, and then he would ask people, like, is it cool if I put this up? And they would say yes. I'd be straight up with you. Most of y'all are not asking that. Most of y'all are just, oh, that was a good interaction with the kid. This will get me clicks and views and all this other crap. Send it out. When really, ultimately, like, it's just kind of crappy, because behind that camera, they're not like that. They're really not. As a show goer, here's the last thing I'll say on this. And then we're going to cut it, and I'll see you on my next one. But as a show goer, I would tell you, this, for security purposes or not, if you know about what happened in New Jersey at a card show recently where a guy was robbed at gunpoint by multiple people, couple things. As a show goer or as a vendor, I would wear a camera around your chest whenever you're handling your stuff and you're not in that building with everybody. But as a showgoer who is looking to just purchase, I would carry that around your chest so that these people felt a little less inclined to be assholes. And if they are assholes, I would incline you to post that all over the internet, because it's just not cool. People like that are offering, that are in customer service, should be held accountable to treating people poorly. If you're a good vendor, I hope that everybody comes back to you. I think one of the best things is a lot of these guys have, like, all your most common, like, big guys right now, Jar Chomp, Oyama, Beer Dad, Coop, Jack from Costello Cards, and, Eric. I think all of them have created their own thing. I think Sean is a great example of that. Like, all these guys have created their own style, their own vending, like, experience when you go with them. And people come back because of that. So as a showgoer, if you find a vendor that you really like, go back to them repeatedly. If they treat you well, they're worth that. Anyway, guys, that's going to be it for me today. Thanks for listening to my little, I'm tired of toxic vendors, and I'm not going to sit here and do nothing about it. Go give Henry from Henry's Poke Corner his video a watch on this. It was much better than mine, but he deserves the credit, and he's the reason that I made this. So thanks again, man. See y'all in the next one. Peace.